Hey, Johan Colbert here with Clicks Masters. In this masterclass, I'm going to teach you everything you need to know about negative keywords for Google Ads. Now, this is going to be totally unscripted. This is not a fancy video with transitions and stuff going back and forth. This is just going to be pure value going into this video together. So this is basically a masterclass on how to handle negative keywords, what they are, what you can do with them, where to add them, and we will follow this with some tips and tricks, and lastly, an insane ChatGPT prompt that is going to make negative keywords a breeze and save you hours and hours of work, just enabling something that wouldn't basically be possible by hand. So let's get started. So let's start with actual native keywords. What are they? So here's how it works. If you are running a search campaign, you have targeted keywords inside of your search campaign. Now, those targeted keywords, whether they be broad match or phrase match or exact match, they go beyond the actual keyword in terms of intent and what actual search terms that your search ads will appear for. So that means if you target the broad keyword lawn mowing services in Houston, for example, you are going to be triggered for, and your ads are going to show up for a lot of different other search terms as well. Now, we're not going to go into the depth of why you should do broad match or phrase match or exact match for your targeted keywords. That's a totally different video. For this, we're going to focus on the search terms, which is the thing that the user types into Google and then sees your ad after typing that search term in. Now, when you deal with search campaigns, you might not want to show for all those search terms that people search for. You might end up showing up for competitors or things like DIY, like do-it-yourself kind of searches, or how to, where to, lots of research kind of terms that people use. And maybe you just want to target those more bottom of funnel product or service ready kinds of searches where people are actively searching for your solution. And that's where negative keywords come in, because what they allow you to do is to remove certain words or phrases that you don't want your ads to show up for. So you're essentially blocking your ads from showing up for the wrong search terms. And this is a huge saver, not only for money and spend, because you're not spending money on clicks that aren't going to generate you conversions. The other one is that you're going to improve your ad rank, which is ultimately also going to improve your CPC and your impression share for your ads as well. So there's a lot of benefits in doing negative keywords. Now, with automated bidding like maximize conversions and maximize conversion value, a lot of this is being taken care of under the hood to a certain extent, but you are always going to find search terms that to a certain degree is always being pushed by your Google Ads account and your campaigns, no matter how bad the performance might be for those search terms. So you want to be able to block those out. And that's what negative keywords are for, and that's where you can use them. So let's get started. Negative keywords come in 3 match types, just like your targeted keywords. So you have broad, phrase, and exact match negative keywords. They don't function the same. Because with a broad match targeted keyword, you're going to cast a very wide net, and you're going to have your targeted keyword having your ads being shown for a lot of different search terms. When it comes to negative keywords, it's not the same thing. It's not going to look at the intent behind the keyword or the interpretation of the keyword in order to exclude search terms. So that's what we're going to go through now, so you better understand the actual match types behind negative keywords, because this is actually quite key to understand when using negative keywords. And also, by understanding how these match types work, you're going to speed up the work of adding negative keywords. Because if you only add exact match negative keywords, which by the way is the default feature when you add them inside of your Google Ads platform, you are going to have to go through thousands upon thousands of exact match versions of the search terms to remove them. So you want to speed that process up. And the way to do that is to use broad match, or in some cases phrase match, for example, to cast a wider array of search terms where your negative keyword fits in, basically. So here we go. So looking at a broad negative keyword, let's pretend that we have these search terms appearing for our search campaign. So we have shoes for men, Nike shoes for men, blah, 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 all these kinds of search terms. And let's pretend that we want to exclude the brand Nike from our search terms because we don't stock Nike shoes. We don't want to show up for them. If I were to add the word Nike as a negative keyword, as a broad negative keyword, I would be excluding all future search terms that contain the word Nike. So in this scenario, Nike shoes for men or Nike Air Pegasus. These two search terms, they would be totally blocked, having just the word Nike as a broad negative keyword. Now you can see here where it says Nike's customer support. So with an S, that's not going to be blocked out. So it's down to the very letters of the words. You want to be really careful with that because if you have words that come in plural or in singular form, you want to have you want to exclude both of those versions if that's the thing you want to do, of course. So in this case, by using Nike, only the word Nike as a negative broad match keyword, it's going to remove these two search terms or any other future search terms that contain the word Nike. Let's proceed. We have phrase match negative keywords. Now, first of all, I don't recommend using phrase match for singular words. So if we go back to the Nike version, there's no point in using this as a phrase negative keyword because it's going to work the same way if you only have one word. The true power of phrase negative keywords comes with using multiple words, so two or more. Because if you have the word leather boots in that exact combination where you have the phrase, the quotation marks at each end of it, and you have the leather boots, wherever you can fit the words leather and boots together inside of the search term, that's where it's going to be blocked out. So in this scenario, we have these search terms, and we have the search terms leather boots for hiking, and then we have synthetic versus leather boots in water. For these two occasions, you can see we fit the words leather and boots together inside of the search term, and those are going to be blocked out. If the words leather and boots were at different locations inside of the search terms, they wouldn't be blocked out. We're going to get to that in a minute, how you can target those as well. Next up, if you use the exact match where you have these square brackets on each side of the search term, you're just going to exclude that specific phrase, beginning and end within these brackets like you see it here. So shoes for men, that one and only search term is going to be blocked. You're not going to target, for example, if you go here, Nike shoes for men, that one is not going to be blocked out because you have the word Nike part of it as well. It's only going to block out shoes for men, not the other ones. So by default, if you go into the search terms report in your campaign in Google Ads, it is going to, by default, have you add negative keywords with exact match phrasing or exact match types. And that's because Google don't want you to be blocking out too many negative keywords for nothing, or because it's going to basically block your this is going to block less search terms than if you do it the broad way, for example. So next up, we have a specific scenario. Here we have the broad version with the words leather boots, and here we have the phrase match version with leather boots as a negative keyword. This is how they here's the big difference between these two. If you want to target any search terms where the words leather and boots either put together or separated, if you want to target any search term where the word leather and the word boots are inside of that search term at any kind of situation, you want to go with the broad version, because here you can see where the search term says boots made of leather for hiking, you can see we have the word boots and we have the word leather, but at different locations. So this is going to block this search term. Same thing here. Synthetic leather versus real leather for hiking boots. This is also going to be blocked out because you have the word leather and you have the word boots somewhere in this search phrase. Same thing here. Here we have them put together, leather boots made for hiking. This is also going to be blocked out. But if you go down to the phrase version, this is where the big difference comes. You will only exclude where you can fit leather boots together inside of the search term. So only the bottom one would be excluded in this scenario. I hope that becomes clear for you guys here. Next up, where do we add negative keywords? There are three major locations where you can add your negative keywords. You can add them to your campaign level, which is going to affect all ad groups inside of your search campaign. You can add them to the specific ad group inside of your campaign, and those negatives are only going to exclude the negative keywords from that specific ad group. So it basically cascades down. So if you add it to the campaign level, affects all ad groups. If you add it to the ad group level, it's only going to affect the ad group. It doesn't cascade upwards. It only goes down. Then you can create something called negative keyword lists or exclusion lists. So negative keyword lists, what they do is they collect your negative keywords in a separate list. You can then take that list and you can attach it to any search campaigns or standard shopping campaigns that you have. And those keywords will affect, those negative keywords will affect all the attached campaigns at the same time. That way you get a centralized place to add your negative keywords. So if you are managing, let's say, 5, 10, 15, 20, or even more search campaigns at the same time in either one account or multiple accounts, by the way, because you can do this on the manager account level as well. What you can do is you can have a central negative keyword list called, for example, irrelevant search terms. And inside of that one, you can add all your irrelevant negative search terms that you want to add in as negative keywords. And that will affect all campaigns where this list is attached to. So you can imagine the time saved, because when you go through the first campaign of all the 20, 30, 40 campaigns that you have, you are going to exclude that word that you add as a negative keyword. It's going to be excluded from all the other campaigns as well simultaneously as you add it into that list. So you're saving up a lot of time by doing that. Next up is the account level negative keywords. Now, these work just a little bit different compared to lists. The first thing is account negatives also affect your display campaigns and your Performance Max campaigns. They affect your display campaigns by the topics that the keywords sort of mean. If you add them for a search campaign or a standard shopping campaign, they're going to work just like I described previously. The account level negative keywords, you can only add 1,000 account level negatives. I think Google might be rolling out the cap to 10,000. But don't quote me on that. I think the threshold is still 1,000 negative keywords on the account level. Now, once again, keep in mind they are also going to affect your display campaigns and your Performance Max campaigns. So keep that in mind. So where to add negative keywords? So you can add them on the campaign level, which is going to affect the whole campaign, including all its ad groups. But if I add a negative keyword to ad group number 1, it's only going to affect ad group number 1. It's not going to affect ad group number 2. Same thing goes between campaigns. The negative keywords that I add into campaign number 1 is going to stay within that campaign. It's not going to affect, campaign number 2, for example. But then we have the lists. So let's pretend that we have list number 1 and list number 2. For list number 1, if we add it to campaign number 1 and number 2, it's going to affect both of those campaigns if you add the negative keywords into list number 1. However, if you add list number 2 to campaign number 2, it's also going to affect that campaign, but it's not going to affect any other campaign that you don't add that list to. And then lastly, you have the account level negatives that affect all your campaigns that use keywords in this way. So search campaigns, standard shopping campaigns, PMax, and display. And that, ladies and gentlemen, is where to add the negative keywords and how they work. Now we're going to look at some nice tips and tricks and how to actually work with negative keywords and where to find them inside of your Google Ads account. So here we have a Google Ads account. Typically, this is where you start your overview with your campaigns. This is a standard shopping campaign, and what I'm going to do now is I'm going to show you where you find the search terms for a standard shopping campaign. So inside of this view, click campaigns. Then we have the campaigns view here where you can see the campaigns, but then you have the insights and reports. Here we have something called search terms, and this, if you click that, And by the way, you can also go into any specific search term. Sorry, ad group. If you go into a specific ad group, here you're going to see all the search terms that this specific campaign that we have selected over here is showing up for. Now, some of the columns that I suggest, that you have active when doing this is you want to know the clicks, impressions, click-through rate, average CPC, cost, so the total cost for the search term. You want to see the conversion value to cost, which is the ROAS if you're doing e-commerce. You want to know the conversion value in that case as well. And you want to know the conversion rate, conversions, and cost per conversion, so the CPA for the search terms. Then what you can do here, typically what I do is I sort by cost, so I get the most expensive ones in the top, so I can work my way from the top to the bottom, because there's no point in excluding terms that haven't been spending any money yet. It's better to start with the ones that are spending you the most money and not yielding good results. Now, when doing this, if you find a search term that you don't want to show up for, you can see the quickest way is of course to just click it and then just add as a negative keyword. But here is where the problem occurs. This is where Google adds the square brackets around it, so I'm only excluding the rave outfits specific search term. But let's pretend that I don't want to show up for anything that has to do with rave. What I can do then, typically what I do is I have a Google Sheet ready right next to my Google Ads account. So what I do is I type in rave, and let's say, for example, I don't want to show up for Burning Man, so I'm going to add the word burning, for example. Let's see, we have, it says down here, space suit. So let's say we don't have anything space related. So let's add space and maybe even suit. Let's pretend that we don't do Coachella. So I'm going to add Coachella as well. Now you can see by just adding them as singular words as broad match, I'm going to remove all future searches that contain these specific words in whatever combination. So once I'm done with that, once I have sort of found my words that I want to add in, I can just mark these words. I can copy them. Then what I can do is I can go into the audiences and keywords. Here we find the negative keywords for this standard shopping campaign, and then I can just add them in like this and just paste them in. And this is going to add them in as broad match right away to this campaign. Note that this is adding them to the ad group. That is called heroes, but I can also swap it over to campaign, and that will add this to the whole campaign as well. Next up, and this is basically the same for search campaigns. So just to take a search campaign here, so we can take this one, for example. Here we have a search campaign, works the same way. If you find something you want to exclude, just click them and add this negative keyword. This is gonna, once again, add them as exact match negative keyword. So if you want to be more broad about it, you just have your sheet ready and just type in the words, the specific singular words that you want to, remove from them. For example, here it says discount code. This is a brand campaign, so it's not a lot of variancy to the search terms. But in this case, for example, let's pretend we don't want to have discount code available or not show up for those. So we could add in the word discount, like so, for example, discount and code, for example. So whenever someone searches for Born in Stockholm discount or Born in Stockholm code, those search terms are going to be blocked from this search campaign. Now, let me show you how you can add this to a negative keyword list as well. So you go to Tools, under Shared Library, you have exclusion lists. And here you can click the plus sign, and you can call it something. So let's just do like example, for example. Example, for example. And now what you can do here, just copy the words that you found that you want to exclude, then save it. This is going to save the list. Here is the list in the bottom. I can now click this list and then apply to campaigns. And I will then open up this list where I have all the shopping campaigns and I have all the search campaigns. I can just mark all of these campaigns where I want these negative keywords to be attached to. And as you can see, this makes it very powerful. Now, I'm not going to add these in because I don't want to interrupt what's going on here. But you can see how simple it is to add many negative keywords to many campaigns at the same time, which is super, super helpful. Now, time for the last really, really powerful stuff that I'm going to show you, which is creating something called a unigram list or a unigram analysis of your negative keywords. So you might ask yourself, what is a unigram analysis? What it does is that it takes a list of phrases, or in this case, the negative keyword, the search term report. Let me go back and show you. If you go back to this, we're going to do this one. We're going to look at the last 180 days, look at the search terms, and if we scroll down, this is a typical problem with standard shopping campaigns, is that they produce thousands upon thousands of piles of search terms, which makes it really, really hard to analyze, finding those singular words that you can exclude based off of data that actually supports your decision if that word is good or not to remove. So what I've done is I've created a prompt with ChatGPT that creates something called a unigram analysis of all the search terms that you attach. In this case, it's 27,000 search terms. So the way this works is that you export. Once you have all these search terms in this list, you download them as a Google Sheet. Once you have downloaded them as a Google Sheet, let's just do this quickly. Could take a little while here. Feel free to skip past this part. There we go, open sheet. Now in this report, what you want to do first of all, you want to remove the first two rows, because those are just telling you what the name of the file is and the date range is. Then what you want to do is you want to skip to the bottom of the file and just remove the bottom two fields. Once that is completed, what you can do here is you can go into File and then just download as a Microsoft Excel file. Once you've downloaded it, go into ChatGPT. I'm using the O4 Mini, which is the latest for advanced, the latest and fastest for advanced reasoning. What I'm going to do here is I'm going to take this prompt that I've created. You can find this in the in this video, or if you're watching this from YouTube, you're going to find it in the description. I think I'm going to have the prompt in the description, or a link to this prompt, whatever works, so you know that. So anyway, the prompt, you're just going to copy this prompt. It's quite large actually, so you're just going to copy this prompt. By the way, it took me hours to complete this prompt and make it really working nice for you. I actually tested the prompt with deep research first, but that just ended up giving me a lot of fluff that I don't want it, and it takes a lot of extra time. Plus, you don't want to deplete the deep research slots that you have available for your account. So don't do deep research, skip that. Add in the prompt like so, and then just upload the file from your computer. And then we have the search terms report. You open that up. Once it's uploaded, just click Analyze or Start, and it will take a couple of minutes for it to complete. And once it's done, this is how it looks. Oh, by the way, there's some slight makeup here that I've done to the file to make it look good, but the contents should be the same, basically. Now, what this does, because I actually analyzed this specific file that I'm actually showing you, so the 27,000 search terms that was part of this file, what the unigram analysis does is that it goes into each of the search terms and it breaks them down into the singular words that comprise or are part of the search term. Then what it does is that it looks at all other search terms where those words exist at multiple places, and then it counts the amount of occurrences that those words exist in different search terms. What it also does is that it aggregates and sums up the data for where those words are hanging out. So take a look here. The word outfits occur in 3,904 search terms. By the way, we're going to remove this one. There we go. So in 3,904 search terms, the word outfits exist, which has been responsible for 456 clicks, 48,000 impressions. The cost has been 5,599. This is Swedish krona, so it's about $560. It's been generating 4 conversions, conversion value of 16,000, a CTR of 0.93, a ROAS of 290, and a CPA of 1,400 with a conversion rate of 0.88%. And that's all the search terms combined that contains the word outfits. Now you can imagine how powerful this becomes when you start looking at words like this, because this is actually quite an interesting find. You can see the word outfit without the S. The word outfit is the complete opposite. It has been spending 2.2 thousand in spend, haven't generated a single conversion, nothing at all. The CTR is a little bit better, but no conversions, no conversion value, just a bunch of wasted ad spend on this one particular word where this exists in all the different search terms out there. So what I can do now is I can go ahead, this is my judgment of course for this particular campaign, is I can quite confidently go ahead and remove the word outfit. Because not only have it has spent a lot of money, but it's also way surpassed like the average CPA for this account. So even if I would be getting a conversion from this, it's not going to outweigh the cost by miles. So same thing goes here. If we go down, say here for example, we have the word rave. Even though the clothes that this brand are very relevant for rave parties, it just doesn't click in this scenario, or it produces clicks, but it doesn't click for the conversions. So we've been spending 1,600 Swedish krona for this particular word. Wherever you have search terms where the word rave exists, it has cost us 1,600 to show up for those occasions, and it having given us a single conversions despite having 163 clicks. So you can imagine how powerful this is when doing this kind of analysis. When you have this heap of search terms, it becomes a real daunting task doing this manually. So that's it for this video. I hope you enjoyed it. If you have any questions in regards to whatever you saw in this video, post it in any comments below if you're watching this from YouTube. Otherwise, just feel free to reach out. I will help you guys out. Also, if you, I typically do free Google Ads account audits and landing page audits for people. So if you want to apply for one, you will find the link in the description as well to do so. It's a great place to get my point of view of your account, what you can do to improve, and get actionable items that you can implement in your account to improve the performance. Also, what I supply in this audit is a recorded version of it, so you can actually revisit the audit and actually see what's been going on with the audit and all those